All right, yo, what's going on? Kofuzi here, Uncle Kofuzi, Tio Kofuzi. It is Thursday happy hour. Whew, thank goodness it is happy hour. I am very excited about that. Sorry, everybody, about kind of like the rush to get started here today. I had thought that I had set up the live stream and had it scheduled for today. I got down here and I was like, where is YouTube lost my scheduled live stream thing? And I was like, oh no, I forgot to make it. So I'm glad that you guys are here. Mark's Soundcheck, that's a very appropriate username to be in here. Says, hey, what's going on? Michael Sesser's here, Stevie76, and Frank Lehoulier as well. Good to see you guys. Happy Thursday. I got to tell you, I'm very ready for happy hour today for a couple of reasons. The main reason being that my daughter is in Chicago Public Schools. She still has another week of school left, believe it or not. But like today was like the last like big thing that she had to get done. And so we got that done today. So big things off the list. And now it's kind of like cruise control in. I mean, relatively speaking, right? I mean, because it's been remote learning for this entire time. Cody Davis says, why you got me on the same time as a PlayStation event? I didn't know there was a PlayStation event. I'm sorry. But I'm glad that like school is like nearing over. So I'm very happy to be done with that. And I have another announcement that I'll get to in just a second. But let's go see who else is here. We got a whole bunch of people coming in here. As I'm doing that, I'm going to talk about the beer for today, which is, I talked about this a little bit last week. And again, I'm kind of like reusing and like recycling, not really stretching out to other breweries because we're still kind of self-quarantining here. That's not really exactly the right word for what we're doing, but we're just trying to make sure that we pass any potential incubation period before we may go live with my in-laws for a little bit. So I'm doing that here. So we try not to get too many things like delivered or like order too many things. We tried to have like a stash of stuff that we could live off of for like 2 weeks. And so like the sampler pack of beers from Revolution Brewing is one of the things my wife got, which I thought was a great idea. Today is the Citra Hero, probably my favorite. I mean, the Anti-Hero is my favorite. That's the original one. But then they have all those derivative versions, and the Citra Hero is made with Citra hops. Very delicious, so I'm very happy to be enjoying that one today. It's a little bit stronger, 7.5% alcohol. The Crystal Hero, made out of crystal hops from last week, was 6.8. So this one's a little bit stronger, but cheers to you, whether you're having an alcoholic beverage or not. Thank you for joining me, and happy to see you today. Let's see, we've got George Zhang, Ben is here, Nathan N., Drake Holtree, who is from Iowa, is it? Knows a lot about Iowa. He knew a lot about Iowa trivia on Tuesday, though. I'll tell you that. Gavin's here as well. Kiefer Vacation, good to see you. Yo, Strava local legend checking in. He said, awesome if you're a local legend. That's cool. Adam Anderson's here. Tony Yu asks, what is my pre-run? Let's see, where is it at? Tony Yu, it just moved. Super Schmaltz is here too. Awesome. Tony asks, what's my pre-run snack meal? It varies. It mostly involves coffee. Sometimes it involves a snack if I can remember or I don't run out of time. Because usually time in the morning, like I'm groggy, it starts slow, and then all of a sudden like I'm running out of time and I got to get out the door. Otherwise I'm not going to get my run in. And so if I can, I like to have like an almond butter and jelly sandwich, toasted if I can. Otherwise, what my wife makes a lot of are these almond butter balls, which is like like oats that she puts through the Vitamix or like a food processor to make it into like not a flour, but like not quite just the regular oats. She mixes it with like maple syrup, almond butter, and I think they're like no big little Powerball bites. And so those I really like to have right before a run, or just cookies. One of my favorite pre-run things to have is my mother-in-law's chocolate chip cookies. She makes really delicious ones. I think she just uses the recipe on the back of like a chocolate chip bag, but they're very tasty, and I just love having. I usually bring like, when I'm at my in-laws' house, I'll go and like for a run, I'll bring like 5 with me in the car. 3 I'll have on the way, and 2 I'll have on the way back. Is what I normally do when I have those. So that's kind of like pre-run is, I don't like overthink it too much. I don't have to worry too much about like gut issues because like I can be like eating a sandwich on the way out the door and it won't really tend to bother me. The only time it really bothers me if I eat like I've eaten like a giant burrito before a run, that will get to me. But like, light things like that, like baked goods, I'm usually pretty good with. Ty Matt's here. Ines Dunbar, Bo Barnett, awesome. Ted and Ruth. Guy Kill is here as well. Jody Runs. Good to see everybody. And Simon N's here from the UK. What's going on? Steve says foam rolling and drinking wine. I mean, I suppose, Steve, you could just take the wine bottle if you get the cork back in there, or if it's a twist top, and then you could just use that as your foam roller, I guess. I mean, I don't think the human body would be heavy enough to do that, but like you could use it like on top, kneading out your quads maybe. Yeah. I think it's great time now because the fridges in this house are all just super cold, and they're very old, so I don't know how to adjust them and make them less cold. Plus, I don't want to tinker around with someone else's stuff. But this can is so cold. So I think I'll get a koozie, and look what just came in. I was talking about how I'm not ordering stuff in. This is one thing that I ordered to have come in. It's available now in the Kofuzi Etsy shop, which is different than the Teespring shop. So in like the description of all the videos, there'll be a listing for the Etsy shop. I think if you go like etsy.com/Kofuzi, there's only one listing, and it was empty for a long time. There's one listing in there now. A Jabba Lives koozie. I designed it myself. It's very obviously designed by myself, but this is what I got, and I'm going to be using that. They're on sale now. I thought that it would be cool for you guys who have been following along in the live streams to check them out. So there we go. Jabba Lives. Cheers to you guys. So I have a whole box of them. I got a bunch of them. So I got like this giant box full of all these koozies. So I got a bunch of them. I got to move them. But of course, I didn't really think the whole thing through. So like mailing envelopes, like the plastic kind that you can send, and like a system of me being able to like ship label, like do postage at home and like make labels and stuff. All that stuff's en route. So it's going to take a couple of days for me to be able to start processing them, but it's up there on for sale. I don't know that we'll be able to get them out in time for next week's happy hour, but that's my goal. So hopefully you guys will enjoy. I got to turn this around so I can actually drink out of it. There we go. Jeff Elliott says faux koozie. Yeah. So, yeah, Jabba Lives. I think it looks pretty good. I like the way it turned out. I made it on my iPad. Yeah. So, I figured like it made sense. It connects to like the live streams because I've been doing like handwriting on the live stream thumbnail. So I figure it's the same handwriting. And I didn't really talk about Jabba the Rat in any of the YouTube videos, but we talked about Jabba the Rat a lot here with you guys. So I felt like this was a nice, like a little piece of merch to have for those of you who have been like here all the time. So that's what I was thinking about this. Super Schmaltz says wine bottle is good rolling the calves. Awesome. And Running Addict says Brooks and Adis behind you. LOL. Yeah. So this is gonna be the next video coming up tomorrow. So this week I ran in the Boston 9 and the Hyperion Tempos around here. So I'm gonna make this video like later today, and that'll be coming out tomorrow. So that's why those are up there right now. Yeah. K Wong says, does the foam in running shoes degrade over time if you don't wear them right away? I bought a few pairs of the Turbo 2s. I think that they do. I think that like I think that like if you bought a pair of shoes, like people tell me all the time like, hey, I'm looking for new shoes. I haven't been running in a while. I mean, I've been running lately in a pair of something from 3 years ago because they were still pretty new when I stopped running. And I'm like, okay. And so now you're telling me you're looking for a shoe that's easier on your knees because your knees hurt, So I'm like, well, maybe it's because of that. I mean, I remember, and I don't know how much of this you can take at face value, or how much of it is just because like I was getting the advice from someone trying to sell me shoes at a shoe store. But someone I remember telling me saying like, if you can't remember when you bought them, you definitely need new shoes, and you should definitely think about buying like a new pair of shoes at least every year because the foam degrades over time. Now, I mean, it's hard to kind of reconcile that with the fact that I imagine that a lot of these foams like won't biodegrade like in a landfill for like tens of thousands of years. But then again, like it's not like we're looking at like when do we get the optimal performance out of them, right? And so I'm just like nervous about shoes that are like more than like 2 or 3 years old. Even if they haven't been used, I'd be a little bit concerned. I don't have objective data to back that up, but that's kind of my gut feeling. Ty Matt says koozie with a Koozie. I like that. And then let's see, who was saying something else? Another way of a koozie, JC says, and so many ways to go with it. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to drink with it and a way to show it. I'm not good at like the product placement things. I just got to keep rotating it. There we go. Now I think I got it. Morgan Bainham says, favorite post-run drink. Mine is Pocari Sweat. Have you tried? I have not tried that before. A drink with the word sweat in it sounds kind of weird to me. I'm not familiar with it. Man, the lights are doing that thing again where like it just alternates from really bright. Like I'm not touching anything. It's like pulsating. I don't know what's going on with the lights. It's really weird. But I've post-run drink. Lately I've been drinking Gatorades because we've got like my wife bought like a 12-pack of like the regular size bottles, like the thinner, tall ones. I think they're 12 ounces. And like I just want to get them out of the house. I want them to be done. So I've been drinking a lot of those right after my runs. And the fridge that the drinks are in is in here in the basement, and it's really cold in here all the time. And so I'll come down here I'll take my running shoes off up at the top of the stairs, and then there's a part of like exposed bare concrete. So I'll stand with my hot bare feet on the concrete, and it's really cold, and then drink like a super chilled Gatorade, and that's been really pleasant. So I've been enjoying that. Normally, though, I will look for something that has a little bit of protein in it. So I have like a protein powder that I like. It's called OWYN, OWN, Only What You Need. It's a plant protein powder, and that one's pretty nice. It tastes like chocolate, so it's good. But I guess my favorite post-run drink would be beer. Like after a race, I really enjoy having a beer. Adam Anderson says, now I have to start drinking more beer so I can use this koozie exclusively. LOL. That's right. I mean, you don't have to drink beer in it. You can put anything else that fits in a can in here. So it could be, I've had V8 after runs before. That's not terrible. I actually kind of like it. And then you could have just regular sodas or bubble waters if you're into that kind of stuff. So you can definitely do that too. Richard Smart says, greetings from Harker Heights, Texas. What's going on, Richard? Reed says, what do you think ends up happening with the Chicago Marathon? I think that it's not going to happen. I had heard the announcement that Lollapalooza and the Taste of Chicago were both canceled this year. Now, granted, the Taste of Chicago happens in July, like right after the 4th of July. And Lollapalooza happens in August, I think. And so there's still, a couple more months till October. But like I listened then, yesterday I listened to Lori Lightfoot's press conference, our mayor's press conference about it. And she framed it as like, she didn't say you'd have to have a death wish. She said like you'd have to be insane to have like an event like that, to have people that would be coming from all over the country for the Taste of Chicago or for Lollapalooza to come to Chicago and spend time here like that. You'd be out of your mind or something along those lines. And so I have a feeling that she's going to be hopefully she's not going to be so bombastic about it with someone that's asking about an October event and when she's working with the race coordinators for October. But I have a feeling that sentiment, when amplified then to an event that draws internationally, I just think it's not going to happen. But we were talking about it yesterday. Someone asked in the live stream yesterday about it. And I would say, like, if your training plan tells you to start training now, start training now. That's not going to be, it's not like you're doing like your super intense 20-mile long run with like speed work in it today. You're building up and you're getting ready for that later work. So I think that's okay to do. Because then if it does end up happening in some sort of capacity that it can go on, then at least you still have your base and you're not trying to cram and get a race in. So I think it's kind of like, you're covering all your bases that way. Let's see. Running Addict says, I hope Cole Haan reaches out to you somewhere. I lost that. Yeah, Running Addict said that. And then he also asked, like, is Cole Haan... Where is it? Just curious if this is true. I thought Cole Haan was owned by Nike. True. It was owned by Nike, but I think they spun them off a couple of years ago. So I had a pair of boots that I was still wearing. I only just stopped wearing it recently. That had Nike Air in it, and so like they were dress boots, but like the what do they call them? Like 1/4 boots, quarter boot, half. I don't know. They were like slip-ins, but they were dress boots, and I loved those. And they had Nike Air in it. And really the only way that it was Nike Air was that in the heel there was a little cutout, and the insole had a little taped-on piece of like a Nike Air, a really thin Nike Air pocket in there. But yeah, so they had like some collab and crossover, and a lot of their shoes at that time when they bought them had like similar like Nike Air inside, basically an insole with like an extra thing in it. They were pretty comfortable. I did like them quite a bit. But I think that at some point they spun them off back again, or they sold them to someone else. I'm not sure, but I don't think Cole Haan is still owned by Nike. That's my understanding. Let's see. Spence says, are you thinking about any trail shoes while you're on country roads? I am. So I think that I'll probably need to buy, I'd like to buy a pair soon. I'm probably going to get some Ultra is what I might think. The other thing I was thinking of, like this might be a good time to get some of those Salomon shoes because I think Salomon also makes a lot of light trail shoes. And I think that's kind of what I need, that like light trail / like crossover shoe, like you're running on roads to get to the trailhead kind of thing. Like that's the kind of shoe that I need, because like on my run I'll basically spend about, I mean some of the runs I've done here, the longer ones have been all, I can be on road the entire time, but a lot of time I'll run on the shoulder, which is crushed limestone. The dirt roads are also crushed limestone. I don't know if it's crushed limestone. It's like limestone on top of a dirt road. Limestone is a very naturally occurring stone around here. A lot of the houses are built out of it here. And then, so I think I'll probably get something like that. Now, I haven't liked Salomon shoes before. I guess I've only tried one in the past, and I didn't really like them before, but I also felt like I was using it on the roads, and I don't think that's their wheelhouse. So I'd like to be able to try them in like what they're great at to get a sense of that. So I am definitely thinking about it. Carlos Sejas says, do you know of any races in the U.S. yet? Yeah, there's been a couple. We were talking about it a week ago about there was a very peculiar race. It was that someone on Instagram was telling me about that she had run. It was a 5K trail race in Northwest Indiana. So not that far from Chicago, just on the other side of the border in Valparaiso. And so still pretty near Lake Michigan, but it was like a rolling start. Like there is no finish. You just basically, you run past the finish line and then you go to your car kind of thing. And so there's not a lot of race vibe to it there. I don't think it was supported, but it was a trail run anyway. So like it's just a peculiar event, but you know, people are starting to do events. I saw something on, was it Twitter today, about a company, I think they're based out of the UK, that is doing races similar to that, where there's a start line, but like you have to start like, they did like a demo of it, and they started people, and it looked like the way that they start cars at like a car race, like in an F1 race, where everything's like staggered and there's just 2 rows, and then they would let people go out. And they didn't show what they were going to do about in-course hydration. I don't know if there was available or not, but then, you know, they checked people's temperatures at the beginning. There was hand sanitizer everywhere, and they put you through this thing where they basically had to stand in this thing for 5 seconds, and it sprayed, I think, disinfectant at you, which I think is like amazing, but also something that I've been wanting for a long time, but for sunscreen. Like, I wish that there was a thing that I could just like walk through, like a curtain of spray, and sunscreen would get on. I hate putting sunscreen on. I think it's so annoying. I don't like the activity. I just wish there was a way that I could have it done to me easier. And so I think there's a company that's doing stuff like that, where they're like basically disinfecting you as you go through. How you're not supposed to breathe that in, I don't know. I guess you're supposed to hold your breath for the entire time you're in that thing. But I don't know, you get like spray painted with disinfectant. Yeah. So I think races are happening, and they will keep happening. I've been seeing a lot of people running not socially distant on tracks and trails in their run groups, and it makes me a little bit nervous still. But I mean, we'll see. I think I don't know. The facts seem to keep changing on it. It seems to be like inside is more dangerous than we thought, and outside is safer than we thought. But I don't know if that's true. It just seems to be what people are doing. And like, there's like, I've been reading, I haven't been reading, but I've seen articles about like, you know, people are just getting fatigued about their their coronavirus precautions. And, you know, it has nothing to do with new science. We're just tired. And I understand that. I can relate to that a lot. Frank Lahuli, Cody Davis says, I think the foam on talking about shoes that we've stored for a while will last as long as the shoes stored properly and not kept in a garage or something. I think that probably would help out quite a bit. It would really extend the life of it. If you did that, if it was like temperature control, just like kept in your closet, like in a shoebox kind of thing, that'd probably be fine. Frank wonders if the nitrogen in something like Boost would leak out. I don't think so, because I think the way that it's encapsulated, so like the nitrogen can't leak out. I don't think. So that's not what and I wonder, yeah, if like nitrogen shoes like this Brooks Hyperion would degrade differently, or like Hyperburst would degrade differently over time than say like React foam. It's an interesting question. Backman is still processing the whole sloshing thing and wondering why I went all those years hiking without thinking of doing that. Yeah, I didn't think about it either. And then someone was like, "Hey, your water bladder is making so much noise," and I was like, "Oh man, it is. It really is." And so then it was really bothering me like once I heard it, you know. And so I did have to. That was the video for today, and so I did have to kind of like go and fix that. But the fix was relatively quick. But I mean, like on the plus side, you know, if I were in a race where I was like worried about like speed, like, you know, I know that I could just not worry about it and live with it however it is, if I were like racing. But it did make for a nicer run when I figured out that I can get the air out of there. And it also felt like it fit on my back a little bit better too. So like it was more comfortable to run with it on, in addition to the sound benefit. Time Out says, foam definitely breaks down. I see a lot of Jordan and Nike collectors show their older shoes falling apart without wear. Yeah. I would, that's kind of like what I was thinking too, Ty, is that like I bought a pair of, my first Vaporfly that I ever bought were on StockX. And I bought the version 1 when version 2 was out. And I was like, oh, this is like a 1.5 year old shoe at this point. I wonder if that affects how the foam feels. Because I did feel like version 1 and version 2 felt very different. So, yeah, I think that it's possible. But I also think that some foams may be more susceptible to it. And I think with like the Jordans and like the shoe collectors, I feel like I wonder if a lot of that isn't so much the foam. Not that the foam in Jordans, I don't think it's that. I never put on a pair of Jordans, but if they're like Air Force Ones, I don't think they're that comfortable, or if they're like SB Dunks. But like, I also think the glue is probably the thing that's getting them. I don't know. I'll have to look at some more pictures, I guess. House Clan says, "Yo, can't wait for the Clifton 7. What's the holdup?" I don't know what the holdup is. The original release date was supposed to be June. Now it's August, and my suspicion is one of two things. One is I don't know where the Cliftons are made, and I don't know if there were problems in getting enough made in time to release them on schedule, like what part of the world they're made. The other thing is I think they're just waiting to release them at a time where more people are ready to buy shoes and running again. So I don't know if that's what it is. It could be one or both, or maybe they just thought it'd be better to wait until later till they could have a more robust release. So we'll see. David Alfonso says, "Hey Kofuzi, how are your Red Razor 3 doing by now? Would you recommend to use them for a marathon?" I'm actually going to run in them tomorrow. So that's the plan for tomorrow. And I think that I could run in them for a marathon. I'm not sure. They're like, I think they're pretty close. I would need a little bit more testing to be able to say that with certainty, running some harder miles. Because, like, it's one thing to run, like, an easy long run, but to do a harder long run, you're putting in a lot more pounding on the shoes. So I think I'll need to test it a little bit more to be sure. But I think that I could run a marathon in the Razor 3. I know that I couldn't run a marathon in the Speed Elite. That shoe is just, I don't think it's meant for a marathon, and I don't think I could run in it for a marathon. I think, what's his name? King Chazarek. He's been running a lot lately in a Zebra shoe and also the Speed Elite, I think. I don't know if he's running the Speed Elite or the Razor 3, but he's been putting in a lot of miles on some interesting shoes. I've been watching his Instagram account. Simon Partridge says, how do SL20s compare to the Peg Turbo 2s? Would the SL be a good replacement for the Turbo? I think that they slot in somewhat similarly, although the SL20, I feel like I think I would like it more for a longer distance. I'm still and I think it's a minority opinion that the Turbo is great for a shorter distance run. And so like I'd like it on a track. I'd like it for like 400-meter repeats, 800-meter repeats, for a run that's like a half marathon distance or shorter. I've taken them on 20-mile runs before, like easy 20 miles. Not that there's like easy pace 20 miles, not that 20 miles is easy. But I've taken them for easy 20 miles, but and they're good. But I think they're great at shorter distances. The SL20, I would definitely take for a fast, like a hard 15 to 17 mile run. Not the entire hard 15, but like if I had like one where like 5 to 7 miles of that was at faster tempo, like, yeah, then I would definitely take it. The Turbo, I'm not sure I'd reach for it for that run, but it certainly could do the job. Giovanni Clean says, when is your Beacon 3 review coming and when is the shoe releasing? I don't know when the shoe is releasing. I thought it was supposed to be coming out in June. I always thought the Beacons came out in June. I think it's coming out soon. I don't know the exact date. And my review will come out the day after so like whatever day the shoe comes out, I'll order it and it'll probably take me about 2 days to get it. Hopefully only 2 days to get it. And then I'll run it the next day and the video will be after that. So like 4 days after release is about when my review will come out. So I don't think anyone's sending me that one. Howard says, if you had to run an all-out 1 mile time trial tomorrow, what time do you reckon you would hit? Tomorrow? Like 6 minutes, maybe. I'm pretty tired. I've been running a lot lately. So, J. Mike Remy says, talking about things that get old, cycling helmets need to be replaced every 2 years because the sun wears on them and they become less protective over time. Yeah, see, I can see that. But I think like in the storage scenario, like what if that same cycling helmet didn't see sunshine? Like if you kept it in a box stored at like room temperature, regular humidity level. This lighting is going crazy. Regular humidity levels for like the entire time. What would that end up doing to the helmet? Would you still need to replace it? I probably still would, just because like it's been 2 years and it's protecting my head. But yeah. Mark Rainey says, just grabbed his koozies. Awesome. Jabba lives. Now to pour a drink. Awesome. Thanks so much, Mark. That's cool. Ty Matt says, he worked foam manufacturing before, and he definitely prioritized older stock first for performance reasons. Yeah, okay. See, that makes sense to me. Martha says, oops, missed the first 10 minutes or so. Because, and then we got someone else in here too. But she said, where did that comment from Martha? I'm real behind on the comments today, guys. Sorry. I'm going to speed up. I'll get to the end. Where is it? Oh, I think I went right by it, where Martha's comment is. It's hard to pick these up sometimes. There it is. Missed the first 10 minutes or so because you didn't show up on my iPad. Yeah, sorry about that. Because I did the thumbnail like at the last minute. I thought I had scheduled, but I forgot. But yeah, I know, Martha, you like these two shoes. And these are we've had conversations about both of these quite a bit. Yeah. Steve Ehrenberg says Kohan is still a Nike owned though. I'm not sure about that, but I think it'd be cooler if it did. Simon says, me and the hubby have just put our Kofu koozie orders in. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's cool. James Chin said, how's the Boston 9 treating you? I really like it. I feel like the Boston 9 this year is a little bit thinner. I keep getting this wrong. Thinner in terms of the stack height. I don't remember the numbers, but it feels like it's thinner in the stack height than the Boston 8 was. It feels like there's just less there, but it still feels like it's a great shoe. I really like it. I don't know why they're not selling it. It's a real mystery. Like the Boston 9 is just nowhere to be found anywhere anymore. There used to be like stock of it elsewhere. Adidas just, it's not even a thing where you could see the placeholder for the shoe and it's just out of stock. It's gone. If you do a search on Adidas, the Boston 9 doesn't come up. Only the Boston 8 comes up. So that's kind of interesting to me. Marielle's here says, good evening. What will be your first race if it is still on? I mean, I'm hoping that Chicago Marathon is still on. I'm hoping, but I don't think it will. Before then would probably be the Chicago Half, which is usually 2 weeks before the Chicago Marathon. I feel like if the one goes, the other one will go as well. I'd like to do that. But my first race, I don't know. I mean, I'm doing an FKT, a fastest known time attempt, in a couple of weeks. That's not really a race, though. But I'll do that. But other than that, I don't have anything planned because I just don't know how to plan for it. A lot of races seem to still be scheduled to go on here. And it seems in Iowa, and it seems like in Iowa and other places that are less populous than Chicago, there are a lot of like 4th of July races that are scheduled to go on, which I find interesting. But even here, where there aren't that many cases, at least in the county that I'm in, I think they have a total of 34 cases. The number's been updated. They had 34 cases total. And even then, Dyersville, which is the town nearest where my in-laws live, the same town as Field of Dreams. That's Dyersville, Iowa, the movie. They have canceled their fireworks for 4th of July. And then I think here, this town also does fireworks for the 4th of July. I have to double check, but they usually have a parade that my in-laws are usually in. And my daughter's been in it before too. She's ridden with my in-laws in it. I think they canceled the parade, but the fireworks might still be going on. I'm not sure. So it's like even here where there aren't that many cases, they're still canceling big activities. So I don't know when my first. That was a very long way of saying I don't know when my first race is going to be. MC 1796 says, "Hey Kofuzi, what's your opinion and knowledge of the JAG Corps as someone who is in the legal field?" I've hired a lot of attorneys that are, I guess, pre-JAG. So a lot of people that have worked for me need time in between law school and when they get called for duty. They usually need about like 3/4 of a year to a year. And I've hired one who she went Navy JAG, and most recently another employee went to the Marine JAG. And I love those guys. They were good employees. I mean, they were friends. They were great people to work with, and I enjoyed working with them. I have a very small shop, so there's very few people that, so the people that I do work with, I spend a lot of time with, and I enjoyed spending time with them, but they're also really dependable in the kind of work that I do. I really need someone that could be completely self-sufficient, even if they don't really know all the answers, and they could just figure something out and kind of like make it happen and make it work. And so they're very resourceful. They're very dependable. I highly recommend it. My cousin, who actually saw while I was in Austin, because she was there, because I was in Austin. When I went to Austin and I saw Jamie and we had a Kofuzi Run Club there, I was there to talk at a legal convention. She was there for a different legal convention the same weekend, so we did meet up and we ended up getting lunch. But she is now, I think, the president of the United States Military Spouse JD Network. I'm botching the name. I've spoken in front of their group before virtually, and talking about like kind of like litigation-based industry and work that's not law necessarily practice. And I've reached out to her and tried to figure out a way that I could work more with people that have law degrees that are either former military or in the military or connected to the military, because that's something that I've really thought would be a great way to combine a lot of needs at the same time, but it hasn't worked out quite so well. But it's something that I think that the Jaguar is great. I'm not sure that I mean, I don't know exactly what the day-to-day work is of it, but I know that when you leave, you have a ton of great experience. So I recommend it. I haven't been through it, but I think that it's a great process. You learn a lot, I think. Tough Duck 414 says, "Hey, J. Mike Remy, were you on the Rambling Runner podcast in 2018? That's a good question. I wonder, do we have an answer to that one yet? Let's see. Iote Zin says, "Hey man, should runners eat cinnamon for healthier lifestyle? Was kind of addicted to it recently." No, you should not eat cinnamon for a healthier lifestyle. I eat it regularly, despite the fact that it's not so great for me. Here's that lighting again. Now it's really dark, and now it's going to get bright. I actually had some today for lunch. It's good. It has a lot of salt in it, so that's good if you're low on salt. But I generally find that when my diet is heavy in cinnamon, 3 things happen. Short term, I'm very satisfied. It's very satisfying. In the somewhat medium term or less short term, I find that my mood tends to worsen because I just feel like it's not like nutritious enough. You're full, but you're not like getting nutrition. So and my body gets grumpy about it. And the third thing is that like it's you're not. I guess it's related to number 2, but like your body's also not going to be happy about it because you're just not getting enough nutrition. I mean, I usually put like rice, sometimes put tofu in mine. I put an egg in it, so there's protein and stuff in there. But you know, I think it's a great treat to have, but I wouldn't recommend it for healthy eating. All right. Martha says, about protecting midsoles. I have a pair of Next% purchased when I got into Boston last fall. I wrapped them in plastic wrap and then storing them in the basement, cool and dry place for now. Yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, and KJ Mark, see how far back I am in the comments here, says Nike sold Cole Haan in 2012. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Marielle says Solomon is awesome, and the Nike Wall 6 is amazing too. Yeah. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Try to get some more people who have gotten in here a little bit more recently. Let's see. J. Mike Grimmy says, yes, Co, I was. So J. Mike, you were on Rambling Runner. I'll have to go look up that episode. That's cool. I'm sure if it was in 2018, I'm sure I probably listened to it too. I probably just never put it together. Cool. So we've got a celebrity in our midst here, and we didn't even know it. Look at that. Awesome. Shannon's here. She says, if you ever quit your day job or need an employee to manage your all things running stuff, I'm your gal. Well, thank you so much for that. You know, it's something that I keep thinking about. Like, I don't think I'd ever like quit my day job because I own the business. But you know, it'll depend a lot of it on what happens with kids. In terms of like daycare, well, my daughter's supposed to be in pre-K, like pre-K next year, and that pre-K program is at my daughter's public school, and so we're looking forward to it because they'll be both going to the same school. But like depending on what that looks like, I don't know how much I'll actually be able to work, and so like I can't work that much. So not that I'm filling in time here, but I'm taking advantage of that time where I can't work now. Courthouses are still closed, and I have to be home to watch the kids. My wife usually steps in while I do the live stream, and so like we have to figure out a way to balance that. And I try to, you know, make the best of it, and I get to talk to you guys every day, which has been great. I'm gonna miss that at some point. This will have to go away or get scaled back to some extent. And I think I'm gonna miss doing it every day. But I don't think it's coming anytime soon. But you know, I think it's out there. Isaac Gutierrez says, hey Kofuzi, I'm currently looking for new road runners, and I'm considering the Hoka Rincon, New Balance, Fuel Cell Rebel, and the Nike Zoomfly 3. What has been your favorite one of the 3? So Rincon, Rebel, and Zoomfly 3. I think the Rincon is easily my favorite of the 3. But the Rebel, I just ran in them a couple days ago, and they keep surprising me. Like I was like, oh, this shoe keeps getting better and better every time I run in it. And so like I normally am not a big fan of the idea that shoes break in. I'm like, it's 2020. The shoe, like the technology is like, it's not like a piece of rubber that you got to pound. It's not a baseball glove that you got to wrap like put a tennis ball in it and then wrap it with rubber bands and put it underneath the mattress overnight. It's a shoe. It shouldn't really need to wear in, but the Rebel keeps getting better. So I'm really liking the Rebel a lot out here. But the Rincon I think is my favorite of those three. All right, let's see. Yeah. So Peter Dankoff says, I have the Brooks Levitate 3. What do you think about that one, Peter? I keep like, I saw Jamie had posted a picture of his and I was like, oh, they made it not look like it's from the future, like from like Back to the Future, like where everything's like shiny and like weird colors. Like that's what the Brooks Levitate has been. But I think the midsole is still a little bit shiny on it. I think that was just the way that Jamie took his picture and made it look like that. I was like, oh, it finally looks normal. The other one was a shoe that, was it? No, it wasn't. Was it the Brooks Levitate 3? There was another shoe that Believe in the Run just posted a whole bunch of shots of that I was like, it's a knit upper. It looks beautiful. Maybe it was the Brooks Levitate 3. But it just looked great. And I was like, oh, I think it was a stability shoe. So I don't think it was a Levitate. So I'm like, why don't they just make all their shoes look like that? Because that one shoe looks amazing. Anyway. Shannon says that J. Mike Remy's episode was one, an older one in the 80s, was it? Yeah, number 87. Oh, okay. Well, that narrows it down quite a bit. So awesome. Okay. Cody Davis says live stream from your class. We won't mind. Yeah, I mean, well, my class is usually in the mornings, Friday to 9 to 12. Although I also picked up a new one this last semester on Wednesdays from 9 to 12. So I was teaching twice a week this last semester. The Wednesday class was for international students. And so that one probably won't get picked up again next semester just because I got an email from the dean, not me, the dean sent an email and saying like international students were a big part, not just from the law school's perspective, but from the undergrad perspective as well of the student body. And some of them won't be able to come back because I think there's still travel bans in the U.S. Is that right? Or it'll be really hard for them to come back. And so they're anticipating a significant drop off and severe budget cuts. So I'm thinking that Wednesday class will go away. It had 12 people in it, and I think 10 of them were from China. I don't think any of them were from Wuhan, from what I remember, but or anywhere near Wuhan. I don't think there's anything near Wuhan for a couple hundred miles, from my understanding of the geography. But I know that a lot of them did go home, like once like our classes went virtual. So like I don't know how many of them will be coming back. And then so that class is probably not going to need to be taught, nor do I really want to teach it. I'm not very interested. As much as I do this, I do live streams every day. The things that I teach, I hate teaching it virtually. So yeah. So like I don't know. I didn't want to do that one, and then I teach one on Fridays. But again, I don't know like what the like law school landscape is going to look like in the fall for us being a law school in Chicago. So who knows? I mean, I don't know that it'll come up to it, Cody. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't. You know, you guys don't want to do a live stream at like 9 in the morning anyway. But anyway, let's see. Richard Smart says, perhaps just another time of day or 3 times a week, but I enjoy it, so you can't eliminate completely. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to do it, and I probably will ask you guys because you guys are the ones that have been here every day. You know, I want to make it cater to you. So like whatever you guys think. If we got to do it like late night, then we'll do it late night. If we just do it on the weekends. You know, I just feel like I don't want to impose on people's weekend time. So we'll figure something out when we have to. We don't have to figure that out yet. Yeah. So, Nathan says, I think on Saturday I'll try running the beach. The race is on, and put notes in Strava. Let's see. All right. Cool. Sam Hawk 1985 asks, and I'll probably make this the last question for today because I've been rambling along so long. It's already 3:48. Time flies. Sam Hawk 1985 says, what compels you to make the motivational videos like Resonance, and how long does it take you to write the verbiage, or is it all freestyle? What compels me is because that's what's on my mind, and so like this has always been more of like a running, I still call them all running vlogs. And so that's really what this channel has been about, is like what's going through my mind as a non-elite runner, someone that is running a lot, enjoys running a lot, and just seeing where that takes me. And so part of that is not so much they're all running motivation, but they're all kind of like, I guess, contemplative, or just like letting you know what's going on in my head, so you get a little bit of a different view of it. Other than just like the shoe footage, and so that's kind of the idea with those. It usually takes me about the same amount of time to make those videos as it does to make, like, say, like this video that I'm making here with like these shoes against each other. Like time-wise, minute-wise, it'll probably take the same amount of time. But this will be like a 10-minute video. The shorter, like the run motivation videos, for lack of a better word, those are like 3 minutes. And so like per minute of footage, it takes longer. And I usually write it, but it's like the first half of it usually gets written in my mind as I'm running. So it's something like, it's a thought that pops into my head, and I feel like, okay, this is something that I want to get put down on paper, and then I will think about it a little bit more. I'll usually edit the running footage and put it to the music to kind of like, I have an idea based on what I have so far in terms of text as to what vibe I'm going for. So I look for music that fits that, and then I let that fit in and finish the rest of the thought, the train of thought. And so then I'll come down and I'll just record the audio part, and then I'll re-edit it again. There's probably a more efficient way to do that, but I'll re-edit it again with now the spoken word part on top of it too. So that's kind of how those get made. I like making them. They're a lot of fun. I enjoy that people connect with them. A lot of times people don't. They tend to be my worst performing videos. But I also feel like, those are not the ones that are intended to be picked up on like a YouTube search. So therefore, everyone that would come to something like this and be here and hang out here, they're meant for that. And so, and I think that you guys are watching them and liking them. And if you don't like them, I think if you're like, dude, you're way off on that, or the tone's off, or like, have you thought about this? I'm always happy to like have discourse, So, yeah, I welcome that. So thanks for you guys for watching those. And thanks everyone for tuning in today. I think that's a great place to leave it for today. You don't have to buy them if you don't want. Please don't feel compelled to buy one. But if you want to make sure that you can help the Legend of Jabba continue to live on. I mean, I'd say Legend of Jabba as if he's gone. I don't know if he's gone or not. I haven't seen him in a couple weeks because I'm not back there. But if I think of it, he's basically our live stream mascot. I'll say that. So Jabba Lives Koozies available on the Etsy shop if you want. It'll take me a couple of days to get them shipped out, but I will get them shipped out to you as soon as I can. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. Phone in Friday. Tomorrow, Friday, we'll do the phone in thing where you guys can call in. And I'll have another video, this video, on these two shoes tomorrow morning. So check out any of those. Thanks for checking in today. It was great to interact and talk with all you guys. Hope you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everyone.